are quite nervous about this, and I understand them. The way we are experiencing it is outsourcing. Cloud is outsourcing at the end of the day. So we have to go to a very time-intense and thorough process to get approval to outsource to clouds. The other aspect, and there we even might sometimes be disadvantaged towards others who can move much more quickly, others who are not supervised as we are. The other aspect is that the Financial Stability Board is getting nervous for financial stability reasons. And in Europe, just last week, the European Supervisory Authority, it's called EIOPA, for those of you who know, they have provided an advice to the European Commission asking for a specific oversight system for those cloud providers. I cannot understand where they're coming from. We deal with those problems at the regional level? I'm not sure. The big drying, climate change. 30 years ago, we identified climate change as an emerging risk. It's still an emerging risk. Why? We know climate change is a topic, but we only understand the impact of it. Be it the primary perils in NatCat, the secondary perils, we just start to see what the impact is. Life and health, I don't even think we have fully explored. And also we have knock-on effects we need to know about. And the water stress or the desertization is a huge topic. I think you also know it in Mexico, but you are not alone. By 2040, we expect 33 countries to be in high water stress. Think about food production. Think about the impact on oil and gas using hydrofracking and what that could mean for us. Oops. Eyes wide shut. I chose that one because I felt personally kind of attached by that. I have jet lag, so I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning. I didn't sleep enough. I think many of you might know same situations. Now, having multiple jobs in a sharing economy, having long commutes because urbanization, cities are getting bigger, having smart technology that keeps us away from sleeping. 2 of 3 man-made losses are because of human error. People who don't sleep enough make more errors. Think about the impact on loss, on the loss potential that we might see in mortality, in property, and in casualty. With that, I think Smarter Together is a topic we have discussed over the 2 days again and again. And that goes back to this dialogue. And what we are concretely doing as a company is we talk to our clients. We share our knowledge that we have. We share what we see, and we discuss it with them very specifically. What does it mean for you? Investors need to understand the risks and the opportunities of the stocks they're taking. We talk to investors a lot also about emerging risks. Rating agencies, who when they give their ratings, need to really take into consideration the overall risk profile of a company because they give signals to the market, and it's just critical. Governments who set the policies and the framework, who can also help shift demand and supply, they're detrimental. Just think about climate change in this discussion there was yesterday on the panel. And then obviously also regulators. Regulators have a huge influence by the regulation, but also the way they supervise. And they need to understand the vulnerabilities. And I feel very comfortable to see that the Financial Stability Board and the International Association of Insurance Supervisors has this vulnerability, the identification of vulnerabilities high up on their agenda. And they understand that regulation in the first instance is not the right answer or the useful answer to those. It's really the dialogue and the understanding that we need together. We also published the SONAR report, some of you might know. We do it once a year. That's the Swiss Re Institute on our side who does it. It's going to be published next week. So end of next week, if you're interested, you can download that report that is freely available on the internet side. And you will be able to read about a lot of things I have just quickly mentioned here. And with that, I would just like to conclude. Thank you for your patience. I think I ran over time a little bit. I don't know whether there is still time for Q&A, but for me it was important to be able to share with you a little bit what we have been doing, what our experience is, what's top of mind for us. And I can only encourage you to also actively think about those topics, be engaged in the dialogues that you have, and get to the table and take a seat there so that we all together can hopefully play a major role in also tackling some of those topics. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a Nina Arquint, y en este momento, como pueden ver, se va a ajustar todo para poder pasar a la sesión de preguntas y respuestas, y para ello le vamos a pedir subir al escenario al vicepresidente de AMIS, Jesús Martínez, quien queda a cargo a partir de este momento.
Thank you so much, Nina, for your excellent presentation. It's an amazing matter for insurance industry. After Solvency II, the main essence of insurance, the regulation has been risk management. However, these new regulatory models have focused on traditional risk as financial, market risk, counterparty risk, credit risk, underwriting, with enough statistical base. But the same doesn't happen with emerging risk, on which we have very little or no information. What do you think is the way in which regulation should treat this risk so that, on the one hand, the solvency position of insurance company is preserved, and on the other hand, the stimulus is not eliminated, so that industry seek to cover those new needs of protection of our society?
It's a very good question you're asking, and I think the most important point for me is, look, capital requirements are crucial. Our financial soundness is what makes us also successful in the future. There's no doubt about that. But I would also say capital is not the answer to everything. And I'm very pleased to see that modern regulatory regimes such as Solvency II, with the three-pillar approach they take, I think they also try to take that into consideration. And what I'm experiencing, and I hope this will be true, and that's also what will further materialize, is that regulators are also understanding that. So they're not pushing everything on quantification, right? I think the pillar 2 with risk management and governance is as important. And yes, you might deal with those risks maybe in a little different way than you do with the traditional risks you know very well. And that's why, I'm head of qualitative risk management in Swiss Re. And so we decided to have this specific function which deals not with those risks that we quantify and model. And for us internally, it is as important when we discuss the risk landscape for Swiss Re that we also take those risks into consideration. So I'm encouraged to see that we have the right frameworks. And I think the responsibility lies a little bit with us as companies, that we also think about it and also really try to implement it and to live it.
Okay. Now, as an executive of the insurance sector, and regardless of the regulatory approach that is finally adopted, I would like to ask you, what do you think the position of the insurance industry should be in emerging risks?
As I said in the beginning of my presentation, I think we have to offer as an industry. risk is our business. And we see so much and we understand so much. We really have a capability that I find somehow also unique. And I think really bringing that into the discussion, be it through associations like here, be it with your own regulator, with your own government, it starts there, right? And also when you think about the international level, the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, we do heavily engage with them because they're all regulators worldwide, including Mexico, come together. And I think they need to learn from each other and also accept regional differences that there might be. So I think this is the role that I see. And then hopefully, we are also able with our products to actually provide solutions like parametric solutions that in a world of climate change can be good solutions to help tackle the risks. And then we need regulators who are open-minded, who sit down with us, who try to understand those new products and also discuss with us how they can support it, right? So we should be proactive, thinking about what can we do in terms of products, in terms of dialogue and engagement.
Okay. Last question. More specifically, what do you think about how the regulation should address to emerging risks like data privacy or longevity?
So data privacy being located in Europe is obviously a very, very strong topic for us. But I also have to say, in the many interactions with regulators we are involved, the discussions go far beyond data protection. The discussions we are involved in is a lot about fairness. And it's a lot about what do we use the data for. Will we single out certain groups of policyholders who might no longer be able to afford it in the future? And I think this is the big discussion we are having. As a company, what we are currently doing is we are developing something like a data ethics code for ourselves, which should, for our employees, also provide some guidelines, some principles that we want them to apply and consider, when the legal requirements are fulfilled, but you might still, need to think about, is this fair what we're doing? But saying that, it's very difficult. Ethics is not a universal concept. Who knows what ethics is? But as a company, I think it's responsible to have principles and to discuss them, apply them also case by case, right? And longevity is the other topic you mentioned. I mean, when you say longevity, there are thousands of things going through my brain which impact longevity. I mean, technology, medical innovation, huge, right? And for humanity, such a good thing that longevity is something we see happening. On the other side, for us, are we prepared to also cover those risks in the future? Do we understand them? And also, I think there is a lot out there, and I mentioned climate change. And if you're interested, read our SONAR report, which comes out next week. We're featuring that specifically there because I really believe we have to talk much more about the impact also on mortality, longevity, right?
Okay, Nina, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Agradecemos a Nina Arquint y le pedimos a Jesús Martínez que le haga entrega de su reconocimiento por la participación que acaba de tener en nuestra convención de aseguradores. La despedimos con un fuerte aplauso y muchas gracias. Señoras y señores, vamos a tomar un breve receso de no más de 15 minutos para volver después con una conferencia más. Será Christine Leong, directora general de Accenture. Así que, por favor, estén atentos a los anuncios para volver. Gracias.